Hey folks, this video, just a heads up, is completely for people who are brand new to 3D printing. If you have any experience with 3D printing, this video is not for you. Feel free to watch, I appreciate the views, but this one is made just for new people. We're gonna go over 4 key things that you need to get started with 3D printing. Okay, the first thing, and this is by far the most simple, obvious duh moment here, but the 3D print, you need a 3D printer. There are hundreds of options out there, all kinds of different styles and stuff. I'd really just take a look at your local store and see what they have, or look on Amazon and see what has good ratings. I really like Flash Forge machines, I really like bamboo machines, and there's a couple others out there, but those are the ones that I have the most familiarity with. I've also used MakerBot, I've used Dremel, there's tons of them out there, but you're really just looking for a machine that checks a couple of boxes. For me, when I'm looking at a printer to buy, I'm looking that it has auto bed leveling, I'm looking that it fits in my space, and I'm looking that it has some way for me to control it easily. That will make more sense a little bit later, but those are kind of the basic things I'm looking for. Really, auto bed leveling solves so many problems. It will make coming into the hobby so much easier. It's not a necessity, it's actually a great tool to learn on ones that don't do that, how to adjust dials and change things to level out. But if you can swing it, or if you can find one that does auto bed leveling, highly suggest that. But the very first thing you need before we do anything else is you need the 3D printer. The second thing that you need is a model. Now, your printer's probably going to come with a couple, but they're generally just kind of show-offy, kind of not functional prints or not things you can really use. They're just like, cool, I did this, which is great. There's no problem with that, but you need a place to be able to either make your own models. If you know CAD software, that's super easy, or you need a place to be able to download them. I'm going to put some stuff on the screen here where we can go through and download models. Basically, you're looking for an STL or a step file. I'll put those on the screen as well, but just basically a file that you can download that can then go into the next step that we'll do and get it ready for 3D printing. But you need to have the file before we can do anything else. The third step, boom, is what we do with that file. Now, a 3D printable file, an STL or a step file, there's a couple others out there, but those are the main ones in my opinion. Once you have that file, you need to be able to take that digital file and create it into something that the printer can use. Those two do not talk to each other. And in order to get this to work, you need what's called a slicing software. Basically, 3D printer is going to print everything out in a bunch of little layers, and you need a computer program that does all that work for you. Otherwise, you're going to be hand coding that model, converting it over into coordinates for the machine to then use, and it's a nightmare. Usually your 3D prints are going to have a few hundred layers. It's going to be an absolute nightmare to do if you have to do it by hand. Slicing software is amazing, it's very easy to use, and it makes printing very enjoyable. The fourth and final thing that you're going to need to 3D print is something to actually print. We have the printer, we have the file, we've made the file ready to be read by a 3D printer. Now we need the plastic to do it. It's called filament. It comes on rolls like this. This is a cardboard spool. It's 2.2 pounds or 1 kilogram. It's the same thing, conversions. But basically what we're going to do is take this, we're going to melt it down inside the 3D printer, and it's going to move around and melt in those exact spots and then reharden it into a solid plastic. You need this though. The most basic beginner-friendly plastic is called PLA. It's great, please use it. There are tons of different styles of PLA. For starting stuff, just get the cheapest basic stuff that's reliable and has good reviews. I've put some links down below of the stuff that I like to use, even as a advanced 3D printer. But really, what I like to do is just use PLA on the spool, and it feeds through, and that's basically the paper. If you think of it like a traditional paper printer, its filament is paper. That's what we're doing. So we have it there ready to roll. That's our material that we're going to use up and print out with. So to recap here, number 1, you need a printer. Number 2, you need a model. Number 3, you need slicing software. And then fourth and final, you need your filament. Hopefully that helps. I'm going to be releasing a few more of these videos in the beginner series here, just to kind of bridge some gaps I'm seeing across the 3D printing community, because there's a lot of people getting into it and they're being fed a lot of information that's not consumable yet. I'm trying to make it something that we can do consumable. So thanks for joining me. Let me know what questions you have, and I'll be happy to make more videos about it. I'll see you later. Bye-bye. If you think of a typical paper, if you think of a typical paper,